Oh, I have been waiting for this to arrive for a while. Oh, I hope it didn't break. If it broke, I'm going to be upset. All right, so.
Hi.
Ah! So, well, I hope the box wasn't too uncomfy. We didn't really have the budget for flights, but you're certainly getting the proper British weather at the moment.
Yeah, well, you know, this is the kind of weather that I get up for in the morning, you know. Hey, there's a hitchhiker right here.
Hitchhiker? Oh.
Yeah.
Let's see where he's going. Where are you going?
Anywhere without 10 kilohertz, man.
We got space. Do you want to bring him?
Yeah, why not?
Hop in, man. You got room? Alright, let's we're going somewhere where there's plenty of acoustic treatment, so you should be alright.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
So I was thinking one thing though.
Yeah.
We could probably squeeze another reviewer in if we could maybe find one.
Yeah, but it's hard to find one.
We're not too far from release.
Okay.
We could check. They might have some in stock.
Okay.
Should we get up on in stock?
I think that makes sense. I mean, as long as they, I don't know. We're 3 deep already. We gotta make sure they fit.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to get one that's compact.
Yeah, we'll get a small one.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go see how it release. Okay.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Hi.
We have a little bit of an issue. Do you have any reviewers in stock at the moment?
Let me check. I think we might have one.
Okay. Do you mind if we come in?
Yeah,
Awesome.
please.
Thank you.
Yeah, let me just check.
A nice space here.
Is it here? No, it's not here. Oh yeah. Oh well, we have this one.
Ah, excellent.
But yeah, the battery is kind of dead, so you might have to charge him.
No, that's fine. We can pick up some batteries somewhere.
All right.
He looks pretty
And he's quite
pretty
functional.
compacted too. This is the new one, right?
Yeah, it's a good size model.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, we'll take him. Thank you.
Awesome.
Actually gonna
That's going in.
Wait, have you recorded that?
Yeah, it's recording. So, we are currently all here in warm and sunny UK. You guys are definitely experiencing proper British weather at the moment.
Yeah, we've inflicted ourselves upon you, and the weather has accommodated.
Yes. And why is it that you guys are here?
You know, mostly the weather. Just enjoy, the UK in February.
But also some headphone related stuff.
Maybe, if we're lucky.
If we can get round to it.
Yeah, if we can get around to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the goal is to actually go to a lab and get our HRTFs. Now, people are like, what is that? What is an HRTF? Should we talk about that?
I mean, very basic. It's the way our heads and ears affect incoming sound. And we need to know that stuff for the project which we're embarking on, which is using in-ear microphones.
So that is one of the key missing pieces. It's the missing link between what we see on a graph and what we hear. It's what's actually going on at our own eardrums when we're listening to these products, because the measurements that we take, that we all love, they're done on industry standard measurement equipment, and we're not actually experiencing the picture that we get from the graph done on the industry standard measurement equipment. So what we get with this, ideally, is a way to understand that picture on our own heads with our own ears.
And there's a few other pretty interesting things that this is going to allow us to do. The biggest thing, obviously, is being able to measure headphones on our own head, not just on the 5128, not just on the grass, but seeing how headphones are actually performing on us, so that when we're reviewing headphones, we don't have to do that. Well, this is how it measures on a 5128, but I don't actually hear that 6 kilohertz peak, or for me, it's here instead or something. It's just, no, this is how it's behaving on my head, and we can show that to you. But also that means that then if we go to something like a Can Jam or any kind of meetup or anything like that, we can just sit down and measure a headphone as long as we ourselves are there.
Yeah.
Which is pretty exciting.
And I'm also excited for being able to understand better the whole question of technicalities, right? People, I can't tell you how many times, every week I wade into...
Cameron looks at me.
I wade into the trenches where people are like, but what about the technicalities? And in so many ways, this will help illuminate why we talk about this in terms of frequency response at the eardrum, where a lot of people are unable to see how that may differ from what they're used to understanding frequency response as.
Yeah, at least that's the hope.
That's the
right?
hope, yeah.
We're hoping that this can help demystify both what is contributing to a technicality, but also like why one of us may hear the technicalities different from one of the others.
Yeah.
And to be clear, these are all open questions. Right? By no means is this we're gonna do this so we can say we told you so. Maybe we can, maybe we can't.
Yeah, we don't know.
But we
don't know.
legitimately do not know, and that's why it's important to do stuff like this. It's called science, by the way.
So, I guess the question that a lot of people watching are going to have is, well, why did you guys need to come to the UK to do this? Why can't you just put some mics in your ears and measure headphones like that? What is it that we're actually doing that is just different from on-head measurements that you could theoretically do already?
Yeah, so it's not that we couldn't do something like this. It's just it would be so expensive and prohibitive time-wise to put together a way that we could all get this data that is comparable. So what we're going to be doing is going to this lab at the Imperial College of London, and they have an arc of speakers in a well-treated space that can rotate around us. So we're going to be able to get a full directional capture of all of these different directions around us, so we can get what we call the diffuse field HRTF, which is basically the average of all positions of a sound source, because that's what we need to evaluate headphones and headphone measurements. But it's not something that's easy to do on our own. So we did have to come to a lab that is already set up to do that, so we could get that done in a way that is equivalent for all of us.
Yeah. And then this, much like we do with existing measurements for things like the 5128, allows us to then basically subtract most of the effects of how our head is modifying things to show just what the headphone is doing. How is the headphone different from sounds that would be actual neutral, coming to our heads?
I always think of it as like, it's kind of like microphone calibration. It's just that instead of for a microphone, it's for our heads.
Yeah.
We are
the microphone.
calibrating our heads.
Yeah.
But obviously, whilst you guys have been in the UK, we've not just been doing lab stuff. We went out to Winchester today and saw some very old buildings, some of which are quite a bit older than the United States.
This is us North Americans enjoying culture for once.
That culture being gray, rainy.
Yeah, gray, rainy. But it's something. Like,
Andrew's so happy.
look at the smile on his face that you'll never see from headphones.
No headphone has ever made this man this happy. Yeah.
I loved it. I could live there. It was wonderful. It was nice and very sort of brown and rust-colored earth tones everywhere, and overcast and delightful. I had a smile on my face the whole time.
I mean, the cathedral in Winchester is about 1,000 years old.
Yeah,
so
it's insane to me.
I mean, I think 1,000 years ago, if I'd seen that, I would probably become pretty religious if I wasn't already.
Yeah,
1,000 years ago.
the marketing pitch is
This is
here.
pretty compelling.
What do you reckon the RT60 time in here is? Though?
Exactly, yeah. And speaking of religious experiences, we did go to Nando's, an institution.
It really was. I mean, in Canada, we do have Nando's around, but here you walk in and it's like huge room. We were the first people in there. It was super empty, but as soon as we got in, like 10 minutes later, the entire place was packed. It was legitimately like super good. I didn't even finish my meal. That's how big it was. Pizza time.
And we're trying Canadian eats British snacks.
Just wait till you try some pickled onion Monster Munch.
This is Monster Munch.
Ooh. So there's a very fun
Whoa.
punch. No, you don't like that?
First, we're gonna do mushy peas.
Mushy peas. Got it.
No, I actually like it.
It's not bad, actually.
Yeah.
I already tried it. It's definitely not bad, but it's like...
Yeah, there is the sweetness.
not for me.
The sweetness
Alright.
is
Yeah,
okay.
I like it.
Gotta get you
Fish reaction.
It's really good.
we just picked up the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's real good.
Yeah.
I put a little bit of salt and I need to spread some lemon, but that is very good.
You have some hot sauce?
No.
I could live here.
What of the headphones and stuff that you guys have tried so far here as well? Have you been?
Yeah, so that's the thing.
enjoying?
We've been in Cameron's studio for
Actually,
the last little
it
bit.
started with the speakers. The speaker room is
Yeah.
crazy.
Oh my god. Yeah, we listened to Cameron's speaker setup yesterday, and it's legit. For all of the people who are wondering, that room is pretty insane. And yeah, obviously you've done correction to iron out room modes in the bass, and
Yeah.
you can tell it's a very immersive.
I don't
experience.
think any speaker system is complete, or you're certainly not getting the most out of it if you're not doing any kind of room
Yeah,
correction,
yeah, like
frankly.
hearing like a speaker setup at a trade show or something like that is
It's not the same.
incomparable.
Yeah, I mean the other big contributor is that you have two subs on there, right? Like most people, so a
Yeah.
lot of people don't even add a sub, which is crazy.
No, which yeah, I mean, well, firstly, like the acoustically optimal position for a full range speaker is almost never going to be the ideal position for a sub. But then I'm also doing some silly stuff with like 4 DAC channels and independent correction with proper crossovers, not just low passing the subs. I'll probably do a dedicated video on that at some point because it is a little bit of a wild setup. But well, hopefully you guys enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, no, the lengths you went were clearly worth it. Like,
Yeah.
it produces a very that Andrew and I were both saying it's like a perfect mix of novel and correct. Like the imaging presentation.
The imaging was the coolest thing about it.
Yeah, but it's not crazy. It's just a very nicely deep, well put together presentation, and then the tone is just kind of like, yep.
Yeah.
For me, the big takeaway in your system is the level of depth that system was able to achieve was unreal. Like I've been to some audio shows in Toronto and seen some pretty nice systems, and the convincingness of the depth on this one was just something I hadn't heard before.
Oh, glad you guys enjoyed it. Yeah. What about the headphones? I mean, you guys have tried most of the other stuff I've got here already, but were there any ones?
Well, we tried the
Wi-Fi man?
The Wi-Fi man.
Yeah, the Wi-Fi, the HE1000 Wi-Fi and Aria Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
What do you think of those?
I was not as into them as some of the other hi-fi mans that I've heard. I can see what they're going for, and it's cool that it's we plug the wire in just to make it easier to use.
Yeah.
But it sounds kind of
Just find that
like a bit more V-shaped, like a bit more low end than what I'm used to.
Like,
Yeah, it is a little bit bassier than the
Yeah.
normal HE1000.
Yeah.
Which I did check, and they're not doing any DSP or anything,
Yeah.
so it is just differences in acoustic tuning, which is interesting. I kind of wish they could do some of that with the original HE1000, to be honest. Well, once we're done with the lab, we'll have to get
see.
on head measurements and see what
Yeah.
they say.
yeah. Were there any other headphones that you guys hadn't heard before?
Well, I've heard the Composer before, but I did like it on Cameron's system. It's the Zal, by the way. It's all the Zal. No, yeah, the Composer was pretty good. We did some pad swapping. He has this Zal EQ box thing set up, which was also pretty fun to play around. I heard the Composer before at like a show. Apparently the amp I heard it off may or may not have some issues with like treble distortion. On this one's pretty good. So I was kind of surprised that I quite like the setup.
What do you guys think of the PUD phones?
It's fun. Super fun.
Yeah.
As typical with the PUD phone, surprisingly balanced. And normal.
They look like they should be beyond cursed, and somehow they're not.
No, this is super normal.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Like warm, but
Yeah.
good.
The punchiness in the bass, especially the mid bass, is pretty nice, but like zero texture though.
Yeah, like
Quite
the
nice.
low and center bit. Right?
Yeah.
Pretty scooped. It sounds like.
But the problem is you can't headbang on this.
No
It's
headbanging
not
allowed
possible
with
to
those ones,
headbang.
unfortunately.
Also, wait. It says GoldenSound.
Yeah.
Oh, that's tough.
So those are the ones you got to wear for Zoom calls.
Yeah.
Infinite aura.
Are you really headbanging unless you have chains rattling against the side of your face?
But on that note, I guess we should probably head into London town and go do some science.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Time for science. Real science.
Do you fancy joining?
I don't think they're ready for my ideas. I think audio is a cult of its own already, so we're culted out.
All right, so I am here with Niels at the Turret Lab in the UK. Why don't you tell me what it is that you guys do here and a bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So we're in the Turret Lab at the moment. My name is Niels. I'm a PhD student in the Audio Experience Design team, and this is where we do most of our measurements. So We're in the HRTF measurement dome at the moment. This is where we record head-related transfer functions. It's just one of the components of the work that we do in our lab. For those of you who don't know, HRTFs are the direction-dependent way in which your body interacts with sound. We can capture that representation and apply it to new sound, and that'll make it sound as if it was coming from that location that we measured. Those are the principles of spatial audio, and it's technology that's used in virtual reality, hearing devices, and consumer spatial audio as well.
What's the process like going through getting your HRTF captured with this system here? We were in this massive dome with a ton of acoustic material everywhere. What's the process like?
Yeah, so it's a long but relatively short process. So the whole system, the whole measurement takes around 45 minutes. We start with some simple calibration and some prepping, for example, tying your hair back and unoccluding your pinna and your ears, so that we don't have any unnecessary interference. Then we align you with each plane, horizontal plane, with the lasers, and then we take the headphone transfer function, so that we play some sine sweeps through both headphones, and we can calculate the inverse filter. And then the proper measurement starts, and this involves sitting in the chair. We play a bunch of sine sweeps from our measurement arc here. We have a 5-degree horizontal increment, and then the chair rotates. So instead of the arc rotating, which would be really cumbersome, the chair rotates while you're sitting in it. And at 5-degree intervals, we take the whole measurement system, all measurements again. We repeat this until you're at 180 degrees, and then you have your 360-degree HRTF. After the HRTF measurements, we also take a high-fidelity 3D scan and a lower resolution photogrammetry. These are really important. So with the 3D scan, we can capture your morphology in 3D, and with the photogrammetry, we take pictures with an iPhone or with a phone in 10-degree increments. So there's these various degrees of resolution. We have very low resolution 2D images with the iPhone. We have a high fidelity 3D scan with the 3D scanner, and then we have the real acoustic measurements. One big application in the field, or one big research area, is how can we generate your own individual HRTF or estimate it from measurements that aren't acoustic, because this lab is not very accessible. Everyone can't have their own HRTF measured. So can we go from a photo of your ear, for example, to a full HRTF? If we can go from a photo of your ear to a full HRTF, can we go from the 3D scan of your ear to a HRTF, or vice versa? And how do the qualities of those HRTFs vary? And the great thing is, because we're doing it all in the same room, we can compare those simulated HRTFs to the real acoustically measured ones. And we've a very good idea of how good these individualization approaches or simulation methods are compared to the real thing.
No, I had to do it too.
Oh, all right. So we are back from London.
It's been quite the adventure.
It was a little bit more of a day than we thought it was going to be. I think we kind of had the assumption that we were going to go in, get spun around in a chair, come out with some HRTFs, and that would be kind of it. We put some headphones on our heads and measure them.
Technically, that did happen.
Technically, it happened.
Just not in the order necessarily.
Yeah, not necessarily in the order. Luckily, we've got Griffin here doing a bunch of wizardry to make sense of the data and make sure that things came out in the right way. And today, we've been doing a little bit of testing, and so we wanted to talk about that a little bit. Now, you should get subscribed, because most of that is going to come in a second video, but let's quickly go through. I mean, we went to the lab, and we'd seen photos of it. We knew what we were in for, but I think all of us walked in and kind of went, whoa.
Yeah.
It's a huge, huge dome at the Imperial College of London in as the sort of the Dyson Engineering.
The Dyson School of Engineering.
The Dyson Engineering Zone.
The Dyson School of Design and Engineering.
Yes.
Zone. The Dyson Zone. We went to the Dyson Zone, and we went to this enormous turret type thing, as it is
Turret
described. But it's kind of weird, because you look at it from the outside, and it's like you would never suspect that there is almost anechoic chamber in that.
Yes, in this tower.
Yeah.
It's at the top, literally at the top of this tower.
Yeah.
And it's quite cramped in there. They've managed to pack this massive spherical array. It was very impressive. Yeah. And we spoke to Niels a little bit about some of the other work that they do too, because they don't just take in headphone reviewers looking to play with fancy toys and get their heads measured.
Yeah, that doesn't get much research funding or anything.
No, not really.
So they have a lot of other, frankly, just more complex projects that they are working on. It was really cool to talk to them about.
Folks who are used to using headphone measurements in the audio communities, they might not realize this, but a lot of those measurements are useful because of the work that you guys have done here. And with the Sonicom database.
Yeah, so as part of the measurement system, as part of the HRTF system, we also calculate the transfer functions, individual transfer functions of the headphones to the user. And then you can use these individual functions to compensate for any coloration that the headphone may be applying. Now, the HRTFs that we generate are also useful for investigating differences between different headphone sets. For example, could certain headphones provide beneficial characteristics for localization, for example? The Sonicom database is one of the largest open source HRTF databases. We have almost 400 participants and it grows every day. And we can have a look at how morphological variations affect the way that sound interacts with you.
So shout out to Niels, who helped us with this.
Without spoiling too much, what do you want to tell them about what we've done since getting back and doing some fun testing? Actually, okay, we should Mostly cried, but we should tell them about the AutoEQ thing, because I think that's just...
We'll have a video on the AutoEQ thing because, well, I think we should save that for the next video.
I'll tell them a little bit. Go on.
So once we effectively turned our heads into microphones and got our HRTFs done, we decided to put AutoEQ to the test. We took Cameron and put some headphones on his head and applied an AutoEQ profile to match the Harman target, and then showed what the result was for his actual head. And the results will shock you.
Yeah, let's just say we didn't get a Harman result. Neither on your head.
No.
So, yeah.
Well, actually, so to me, it's fascinating because it's a perfect explanation for why I typically find Harman tunings a little bit shouty.
Yeah.
Because it turns out that what's going on is that when something is tuned to Harman, on my head, it is quite a bit more exaggerated in that sort of like ear gain area.
Yeah.
Right?
But I think the other thing is that, people fuss about headphone frequency responses being super smooth and adherent to the Harman target when all the results we did showed that actually on any of our individual heads to get to the Harman target, it had to be quite significantly different and jaggedy.
Yeah.
To the point where if you look at it against, just plotted against the Harman curve,
yeah.
If you saw that measurement online, you'd think, oh, that's a terrible looking headphone.
Yeah. And then the inverse, if you got it to perceptually be like the Harman target, it would not measure anything like that on a Gross or on a
No, we did the opposite as well. So stay tuned for part 2 because that video is going to be quite interesting.
Yeah.
So obviously you've been in the UK for a week now.
Yeah.
Out of all the things that you guys have gotten up to, what would you say is something that stands out? What has had you smiling?
I mean, so not counting the turret lab, because that was, I think, for most of us, the highlight of the trip. I had been to London one time before, but it was 70 degrees and sunny. So I felt kind of robbed of the quintessential London experience. So the day that Caleb, you, and I got to go to London and explore, felt like I was fulfilling something that I had not had a chance to really experience.
We are walking through a very dank, wet, rainy street, and it just feels right. It just feels correct.
And yeah, we saw a bunch of stuff. We walked along the Thames, we saw the Big Ben, we saw the Houses of Parliament, we saw Westminster Abbey, we saw Buckingham Palace.
Quite a bit of time in the British Museum looking at all the stuff that we'd stolen. Sorry about that.
Yeah, you guys did a good job of that.
See, this is the thing I don't understand. People saying, Britain just took it without asking. Look, see, we got permission. We've checked with ourselves, and we've confirmed it's okay.
Yeah, that's me in 10 years.
Here we see a fine example of
most of the current alphabet. You'll notice the omission of Y and Z, as at this time those letters were under licensure exclusive to the City of Toronto and the band Rush. Here we see documentation of the world's first furries, who of course went on to rule and dominate the information technology sphere.
I mean, we did take a lot of stuff, I'll be honest. There's quite a bit here that isn't really ours. This is room 18 of the ground floor.
Yeah. First known instruction manual for EQing your headphones to the Harman target. Many may not be aware, but the British also invented the art of stealing things from the ground.
I got to hang out with Cameron's mom.
No, so like I feel like
That's got to go in the video.
It's gotta go in there.
No, genuinely, it was fascinating.
Yeah, okay. Just for a little bit of context, my mother is a prostheticist. I think that's the right term. Sorry, Mum, if I'm getting that wrong. She does work for film and TV. And as part of that, we're looking at doing some things with her in terms of building accurate replicas of our head and ears and everything to do further testing based on what we've got today, the MRI scans that we did whilst we were in California last year, and some other things which we probably shouldn't talk about just yet.
She made a baby.
well,
Yeah,
yes,
she
they're
does.
here right now.
She
but
made
a
another
fake
baby. I was not. That is my
That's a real baby.
goodness.
Yeah, just for the sake of YouTube, this is not a real baby.
Oh my god, it's like heavy.
Yeah.
The birth of their children.
This is I like can't even comprehend that.
That's
this
not
is
a real baby. That's
It's-
not a real baby. I have to. It's insane. Yeah.
She's my mum, but she's a very, very talented artist and prostheticist and engineer, I think is probably the best term.
It's wild.
go
It's
into.
terrifying.
And so I think there's some stuff which we'll be able to do with her that is, I think, quite a bit beyond the physiology of the other measurement rigs and things like that. And we'll be able to look at some questions which have been difficult to answer up until now.
I think, I was telling these guys, but it does feel a little surreal that, a week ago we're all just kind of piled up in our rooms and just being audio nerds, right? And now we're all here together, chatting in front of the same table on a very familiar backdrop. And it's just a good time to kind of get everybody and, not talk about just really, really nerdy stuff, but also banter with each other and just, learn a bit from each other and get inspiration in a different way.
I think we talked about a lot of nerdy stuff.
We
I think
We're absolutely still audio nerds.
I think this is
stuck in a
actually
dank
like
room talking about.
I think this is genuinely the nerdiest thing that I've ever done in this industry. In this space. It's
certainly got to be up there. I kind of want to put the MRIs up there as well, but this, I think, it's been absolutely fantastic having you guys here. I'm so glad that all of you could come, and I hope you've enjoyed the UK. We've
made it very enjoyable.
It has been sufficient.
You deserve insane credit for everything you've done for us here.
I'm glad you guys.
It's been sufficient. It's been exceptionally okay, which is exactly what we want.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we've got more coming, some which we filmed today, and some which we're going to dive into a little bit, because as we found out today, some of this stuff is a little bit less straightforward or more time consuming, and there are some questions getting raised as we answer others, so we'll be bringing you along for the journey with us on that. Stay tuned for part 2, because we're diving into some pretty interesting stuff.
As always, if you guys enjoyed this kind of content, remember to check out headphones.com the next time you're in the market for a new pair of headphones or audio gear, because they make it possible for us to do all of this stuff. They're the ones who sponsored this trip, and so we are very grateful to them for doing that. So thanks to headphones.com, and if you want to chat with us, you can do so in our forum or our Discord, also linked below. And until next time, we will see you guys later.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Cheerio.
I hate it. I hate you.